around 1997, 1998, when Google was invented and people started searching and using the search engine and internet for that matter. But in right definition, if you go deeper, when was the time when social media was kind of active and available to a sizable population within Bharat? So if you dig deeper, you would understand that there was Orkut, which had come in India, and it was somewhere around 2006, 7, 8, and by 2009 and 10, it was almost finished, because by that time, Facebook had come up, and it was in 2009 and 10, Facebook was actually gaining momentum, and it was only in 2010, Shashi Tharoorji tweeted about cattle class, and people started knowing about Twitter. So my premise is that it is around that time, 2007 and 8, that people, somewhere around 12 million, that is 1.2 crore people, started using Orkut. So if you say a sizable amount of Indian youth was actually using Orkut or social media platforms around that time, so in that sense, we have come to age to have a generation which was born during the time when social media was active in Bharat, and today it is the truly Gen Z moment when in 2025 we can see a total social media on one hand. Incidences in Nepal are creating concerns or raising questions, and it is part of the political discourse also, whether the Indian Gen Z would opt for a destructive way of solutions. And my submission is that Indian youth would always choose a constructive medium, because it has chosen the idea of debate, because in Bharat, the legacy of debate is there, Vada Vivad. And even in our conversation, our youth from Dakshinapatha traveled throughout Bharat, debated by Mandan Mishra, and that's how the Adi Shankara initiated the great philosophical discourse of Advaita Vedanta. In that sense, in our country, it's the conversation, it's the debate, and it is not the Western idea of democracy which has come up here. We have had our own models of democracy. How far should I go? Should I go to Vaishali? Should I go to the Mahajanapada period? I would call all of you to go to Uttara Merur here in Tamil Nadu and see for yourself the democratic model of Bharat. And in that sense, anyone who comes up and says the Gen Z would come and do a movement, an andolan, an agitation, just like the Jasmine Revolution, or for that matter, other revolutions across the globe, those are moved and mentored by foreign powers. We in Bharat would have our own movements, our own reforms, our own ways of developing Bharat. And today's moment, and this era's moment, is a movement for Viksit Bharat. Dhanyavad. Bharat Mata ki Jai.
Thank you, Ashish ji, for your insightful remarks. Now I would like to request our Honorable Chief Guest, the Governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri Thiru R.N. Ravi Avargal, to grace us with his most awaited address.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, Professor Kamakoti ji, Thiru Ashish ji, Akansha ji, Thiru Induchulan ji, distinguished participants, bright and intelligent young men and women of this country, all assembled here. Vanakkam, Namaskaram, very good morning to all of you. Friends, it's true, in the introduction, Professor Kamakoti mentioned about that on a Saturday morning, usually on the weekend, when the general sense is, okay, relax, people take their own time in waking up, and the day begins not at a fixed time, but at their own convenience. And nowadays, even families don't bother to wake up the children. You have chosen not only to wake up, not only to look so fresh and energetic, but having come over to participate in an event which is intended to create a new Bharat. In fact, this morning, if you ask me, at 5:45, I ran with 2,000 students of Tamil Nadu along the beach in a marathon. And I was so energized to see these young men and women from various colleges of Chennai and around who took part in it. And at that time, it was drizzling. They didn't bother. Rains did not deter them. And that's what makes you feel this is our strength, our youth of today is our strength. They are our future, and our future is bright. Friends, all of you associated with this Think India, you are intellectually bright, each one of you doing very well in your academic career, but you are also infused with a sense of pride, a passion of love for Mother Bharat. You have chosen to commit yourself to make this country the great, not only in your individual capacity, but you have also come together and formed a body as a collective and created a critical mass to awaken all the youths of this country. Indeed, it's a matter of blessings, it's a matter of privilege, and I'm immensely delighted to be with you at this moment. As you move in your life, in your journey of life and a career, you will be moving with certain mission in your life. Friends, when we think of Bharat, unfortunately, situations have been such for centuries and even after independence to a long duration, which created such amount of confusion about the very notion of Bharat. When you say you think for Bharat, you act for Bharat, you will come across many challenges in the course of your journey, and you must be aware of those challenges. And how do you overcome those challenges? First of all, for no fault of yours, that this generation and even your generations elder to is not only your generation. but generations elder to you, even generations which are almost close to my generation. Of course, I was born not very far away, soon after independence, within a couple of years. But I have seen that how systematically our curriculum has been purged of the very idea of Bharat. And this has created confusion in the mind of at least our two generations. What is Bharat? And to some of you, it might look an absurd question. What is talking about? Don't we know what is Bharat? Friends, Bharat, once it became independent, the people of this country, they created a republic. A Republic of Bharat was born in 1950. And the Constitution of Bharat was the basis of that republic. It is merely 75 years old. But Bharat, as a Rashtra, as a nation, has been over 5,000 years old. When I came to this place, and even some other places, here people have started asking, tell me, Mr. Governor, before we independence, tell me who, or tell us who was the one ruler who ruled the whole country. There was none. And yet there was Bharat. But these people, those who have been inculcated, they have been trained to define a Rashtra in the form of a state, a political state ruled by a particular one ruler. That is denial of the very basis of Bharat as a Rashtra. During nearly 600 periods of invasion by the people from Central Asia, they destroyed our temples. They inflicted kinds of torture on our people to change their identity. But they couldn't succeed. But when the British came, they did something different, more sinister. They subverted the mind of our people. And to an extent, we forgot who we were. You know, you people associated with Think India, you are here with a commitment to retrieve and restore the glory of Bharat. What was that glory? To some people, they will tell you it's all stories, fiction. You must be aware what this Bharat was which you are retrieving, its glory, how glorious it was. Unfortunately, after independence, people, those who took over the reign of this country, they continued with the colonial education policy, and they continued looking at Bharat from the colonial perspective, and they did everything possible to erode and erase the very idea of Bharat. Why I am telling all this is that in your journey of life, individual and national life, you must be conscious of the fact, what is Bharat, for which you are dedicating your life. How glorious it was. Friends, so long the British did, we thought they were aliens, they had an interest, and we had some element of distrust. But when our own people began redefining us, which was a subversion of the reality, it became difficult for many of us to challenge that. You know, at the time of colonization, the beginning of colonization, in the later part of the 18th century, after the Battle of Plassey, when the East India Company took over control of Bengal, large number of scholars from Britain and Europe started visiting India. Came in hordes, and they were amazed. They were overwhelmed by the wealth of knowledge. Knowledge in science and technology, mathematics, astrology, medicine, philosophy. And then some of them got worried that as the colonizers, European colonizers did to North America and other countries wherever they went, they destroyed the entire civilization, destroyed all this heritage, primarily because the missionaries, those who went, they had to erase the past to create a clean slate. They were afraid that similar fate would await India, and here also they will destroy everything. So, right from around 1780-81, scholars, professors, a group of save and collect the wisdom of Bharat. They wrote number of letters. There were a number of professors, and finally a group of them in March 1788. Professors from Edinburgh University, there were 3 centers of learning, Oxford, Cambridge and Edinburgh. Professors, McConaughey, Robertson, Mayflair, Adam Ferguson, they sent a petition to the British government, and that letter is very interesting. That letter says, we urge the Majesty, the Crown, British Crown, to commission and discover, collect and translate all the wisdom, they use the word, all the wisdom of the Hindus, ancient Hindus, because that will help enrich European science and technology, European mathematics, European philosophy. Collect all these. It will help in understanding their institutions. And the language that he uses is not my language, is his language, I'm saying. Institutions of the celebrated people from whom Moses received his learning and Greeks their art and religion. This was understanding of the British scholars, British professors about Bharatiya heritage, knowledge, heritage. So they commissioned and they started collecting our manuscripts from here and there, started locating, taking it away and translating it. And we lost millions and millions of those. However, within less than 2 decades, when they realized that they could not conquer and subjugate this such civilized, so much civilizationally evolved people for long, it was not possible. And then they took a decision, they must kill the sense of pride, self-pride, sense of selfhood of people of this country. And then in the first decade of the 19th century. They commissioned a studies to write a fictitious history of Bharat. Some of you, those who have studied political science, I do not know whether you are all technology students or there are some political science also, or even otherwise you might have heard the name of James Stuart Mill, a political theorist, political philosopher is considered. His father, James Mill, was a missionary. He was commissioned to write the history of India. And without visiting Bharat, he wrote 5 volumes History of India, where he painted everything dark. There was nothing in India, nothing good in this country. In fact, one of the 5 volumes is dedicated only to the Hindus. He calls Hindus are worthy to be, they are like eunuchs worthy to be enslaved. An intellectually deficient people, a decadent race. That is what later Macaulay said, all the Indian literature is not worth even one shelf in our library. Now this U-turn that they took was all part of a strategic design to subvert the mind of our people through education system where deny the glorious heritage of Bharat and give them lessons in accepting the superiority of the Europeans. Unfortunately, even after independence, we continued. And if you look at the journey of our independent Bharat, you can clearly see that 2014 has been the watershed. 1947, or put it this way, if you start working more precisely, Republic of Bharat, 1950 to 2014. Has been one phase and thereafter another phase. In the first phase of nearly 6.5 decades, systematically they denied. And it is important for you to must understand what is Bharat for which you would think, for which you will work, to which you dedicate your life. Friends, Bharat is a Rashtra, more than 5,000 years old. It began since the time of Rig Veda. Republic is only 75 years old. Republic is an institution created to serve Bharat. Unfortunately, over the period of time, Republic subsumed itself or misappropriated the very position of Bharat. And if you ask today the students, they will say, why? It is. It is not. We must understand what is that Bharat which has been there for 5,000 years? What was that which brought us together? What is that which is not defined by a ruler, a king, who ruled the whole territory? The political definition of a state, which is defined by the Europeans, is a state which has 4 ingredients. Any entity which has 4 ingredients is defined as a state. A defined territory, a population living on that, there is a government administering that population and territory, and that government is sovereign. By that definition, Bharat is not. But Bharat was not a political state. It was a Rashtra. And what was the foundational principle of that Rashtra? The foundational principle of that Rashtra, which was given to us, revealed to us through the Vedas, is the entire creation is a family. Vyashti, Samashti and Srishti all are a part, integrally connected. Mahatma Gandhi in his roundtable conference beautifully described it as Bharat is a beautiful tree, which has millions of leaves, hundreds and thousands of branches. No 2 leaves are alike, no 2 branches alike. Yet it's one family. Beyond the tree, a leaf has no existence. Beyond the tree, a branch has no existence. This beautiful family, parivar, kudumbam, this realization that we are all integrally one family, manifestation of the same divine, our rishis struggled hard to create institutions and create institutions and culture and inculcate a sanskar, a habit to accept it in our day-to-day life. They spread this mission all over the land. That is how Rashtra is something which is unique to Bharat. It doesn't apply to any other country in the world. Because Rashtra, our Rig Veda, Rashtra is born. Bhadram ikshantarisaya swavida tapo diksham upnisheduragre tato rashtram balamojasta jatam. Rishis who were Vishwakalyankari, who always thought the welfare of the whole world, who treated the entire earth as a family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Such rishis who believed that Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma, my soul is the soul of all. We are all one, various manifestations of the same divine. We are all connected. We are all member of a family. Their hard work that created this Bharat as a Rashtra, a strong Rashtra. And it was their effort that they created all over the land mass of Bharat 12 Jyotirlinga, 51 Shakti Peeth, and 108 Dibya Desham, which though located in all parts of Bharat, within different kings and kingdoms, but it belonged to the whole Bharat. It did not belong to the local ruler. You don't have any parallel of it in anywhere in the world. So understanding Bharat, it needs a bit of introspection and thinking. This Bharat that remains united through these institutions and through our epics and icons, through Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam and all, and icons, Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, various icons. You go to any part of Bharat, they may be speaking different languages, wearing different dress, eating different food, but you will find these stories there all over. I heard these stories among the Janajatis, whom we call tribals, in the remote corners of this country. This oneness, you will think of it. This year at the beginning, at Prayagraj, over 66 crore people, over 66 crore Hindus from all over Bharat and whole of the world, they came. No one was invited. They came as a matter of right and responding to their inner call that yes, they must go there and take a dip. This is the strength and soul of Bharat. Unfortunately, after independence, this foundational values were looked down upon. The basis of this was the basis that we are all one member of one family, and the entire creation is a family, and we must live in harmony. We must live in harmony. And living in harmony is what is dharma is. Dharma is again unique to Bharat, it's not religion. But what happened? After independence, the very first Prime Minister, in a public statement, in an interview, he said, my biggest challenge is to create a secular state on a profoundly dharmic society. Now, creating a secular state on a profoundly dharmic society, and here I would urge my law students, those who are there to think of it, That secularism, that unfortunately that we adopt, it is an European concept. It tells us to move away, look the other way. This, on a dharmic society, creating institutions of a state created by republic, for the republic, created by the constitution. And we said, you don't look at that. It is a taboo. Now this created a conflict between society, between the Rashtra and the state. It created tension between the Rashtra and the state. As a result, this tension manifested in many ways. The state became all powerful. People became client. It is a patron-client relationship. That's not Bharat. Bharat is people-centric. It is Samaj-centric. A state is an instrument, is a servant. Republic, which was created to serve the Rashtra, assumed itself as the sole powerful, and we have people of different wings of the Republic who arrogate to themselves as if they are the Rashtra, or they are the one who are not, who represent Bharat or Bharat nation. This tension between the people and the state, it has started destroying our energy. Bharat is foundational principle, all being a family, and diversity is a celebration, it's a beauty. It is a manifestation of the one and the same, like a flower, which has 100 petals, each petal is of a different color, and that's the beauty of the flower. But if you start looking at the flower from the perspective of petals, then flower is gone. They started looking at, after independence, in terms of diversity, they turned into differences. Never before independence, people of Bharat fought with each other in the name of language, in the name of caste, in the name of region, in the name of race or ethnicity. Because it was all celebration, more the merrier. But within the very first decade of independence, because of the policies of the government of the time, which was hostile to the Rashtra, and because that gave rise to tension, the conflict started erupted. Language rights started happening. And one wonders, the whole country together, for long decades and decades, they fought the British to get the independence. What happened? After independence, we started fighting with each other. Northeast region, a very peaceful region. People all lived happily together. It's a classic example of countless variations living together happily. Within 10 years of our independence, the fight erupted. They say, no, we will not be with this country. They started fighting with each other. Because we started looking at every people, every community, every dialect as different from the other. They turned diversity into difference. When you turn diversity into difference, विविधता को अगर भिन्नता में बदल दोगे तो फिर तो clash तो होने हैं. Then there will be clash. And there are correspondence of the then Prime Minister to the Chief Minister telling they are not like us, they are different. We must sensitively make them ours. Look at the mindset. The people who lived together happily for centuries and millennia, suddenly they started fighting with each other. An entire northeast region went up in flames. Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir had become part of Bharat in a very simple manner. Yes, instrument of accession happened. Sardar Patel was unfortunately kept out of it. Sardar Patel united the whole country, but the then Prime Minister kept him away from Jammu and Kashmir. As a result, we are still facing the consequences of it. But when Jammu and Kashmir had become part of Bharat like any other princely state, why did we allow Pakistan to occupy a major part of Jammu and Kashmir? When we were militarily capable of retrieving it, we could have done it very easily. Why did we go to a third party to ask them then, okay, persuade Pakistan to give us the land? They have not given you as yet. Why did we allow China to take away more than 30,000 square kilometers of our land? Those days, China was not a major power. China was far more vulnerable than Bharat. Bharat was far more superior at the time. But then these facts were suppressed from the rest of the country, from the Rashtra. The country was taken as if it is a territory, you can barter it, transactional, giveaway. And we continued facing the problem. Look at the Maoist. Somewhere started in 1960 in a corner of Bengal. And they spread over to the almost 1/3 of the country. And the governments from time to time, they started saying, oh, they are essentially people who have been deprived of development. They are victims. And blow hot, blow cold relations continued and they kept spreading. They ran their parallel governments. In fact, till 2014, a major part of the country, writ of a state government or government of India, did not run. In the northeast, in major part of over 90% of the northeast, beyond the cities like Guwahati and all, writ of the governments, neither of the state nor of the union, ran there. In the whole 200 districts where Maoists ran their own parallel Jantana Sarkar, there was no writ of the government. We just held it militarily. Jammu and Kashmir, they had own heyday, separatist. Terrorists could strike at will, any city, any institution. Nowhere we were safe. Friends, 5,000 to 6,000 of our citizens used to die every year in violence. Such violence till 2014. It's not far away, just 10, 11 years ago. And all this happened primarily, it never happened before. The long history of Bharat, people didn't clash. They lived together happily. But the policies that they adopted of denying Bharat, denying the core strength of Bharat, which originated from Vedas, which tells us we are all members of a family, which we also call it Sanatan Dharma. That created the whole problem. And what transpired after 2014? You see the changes. But those first phase, 47 to 2014, impact of it was not merely violence. Not merely because our society, our country was getting fragmented. A social fission, science students, is a nuclear fission, it's a social fission. Everyone started separating oneself. Most of and people in power for their politics, for getting the power, they started co-opting, collaborating with many of these guys. Those who were fighting, those who were killing our people. Apparently on the surface they were talking against them, under the cover they were having deal with them. That is how militancy or violence prospered in Northeast, in Jammu and Kashmir, and that is what happened in Maoist area. It is the people, those who were in power those days, it was their sins that the country, the Rashtra suffered. From 2014, and thanks to a national leadership who understands Bharat, he changed the whole paradigm. Treated and is treating the whole country as a one family. That is why you look at the policies. Look at the 1947. Despite all the exploitations, we were the 6th largest economy. By 2014, we had become 11th largest. We had dropped down. We had become poorer. There were countries which were far behind. They left us behind. Economically, we became poorer. Over 30% of our people were living in absolute poverty in 2014. Fortunately, today it's less than 4%. 25 crores people have been pulled out of poverty. We became poor in knowledge. Bharat, which always took pride in its knowledge, Vishwaguru, hum Vishwaguru the. We became intellectually poor. And how do I say that? Take the report of WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization report, which tells you the intellectual property created in the world. They have a chart. Which country, how many? Till 2014, 15, 16, we didn't figure anywhere. We are not on the list at all. Because we had become not only economically poor, we had become intellectually deficient, knowledge-wise poor. We had become we were imitating, we are following, emulating, getting something borrowed. We are not creating our own knowledge. We are just producing graduate certificate holders. In our military was heavily dependent on foreign supplies. That is how our adversaries could take us for granted. Do you think Operation Sindoor could have been possible before? No, it could not have been possible. Because our leaders didn't have the guts. They were afraid of nuclear blackmail of Pakistan. And some of you who have read the newspaper today, you might have seen how Yasin Malik, a terrorist of Jammu and Kashmir, what he has revealed. He has filed an affidavit before the court that Hafiz Saeed, the mastermind of Mumbai attack, for almost 60 hours, the whole country washed with indignation, with anger, with frustration and humiliation. That a handful of terrorists from Pakistan came and just humiliated the whole country. Its mastermind was Hafiz Saeed, Lashkar-e-Toiba. How? The then Prime Minister thanked this terrorist Yasin Malik because he was facilitated from Kashmir to go to Pakistan and plead peace with this guy. He says that today you are finding fault with me because I met that person, but it was your Prime Minister who asked me to go. We have all witnessed, we have seen, some of you, but you were perhaps too young at the time. Some of you, I'm not sure whether you were even born. When 2006 and 7, when this terrorist comes to Delhi, Prime Minister shakes hand in the Prime Minister's office. Our people didn't have the courage, they didn't have the clarity, they didn't have the strength. As I said, our political leaders were afraid of nuclear blackmail. And our military, dedicated, they could fight. They have fought 1962 with China, with 303. Without warm clothing, they have been. So our hats off, salute to our military. They have never let us down. But it's the responsibility of the country, the nation, to see that our military is well equipped. The fact is, earlier our military was so deficient, so dependent on foreign supplies that they couldn't do what they wished. It was this leadership all these terrorist infrastructures, terrorist hideout. And you have seen off and on you read in the newspaper how Masood Azhar, the family, his people, they all say, my family is destroyed. Masood Azhar, the man who attacked the parliament. How his family was destroyed. Hafiz Saeed, Lashkar-e-Toiba, how his entire establishment was destroyed. Over 100 terrorists were killed. Deep inside the belly of Pakistan. And when Pakistan tried to do attack, take revenge, nothing, they couldn't succeed. Our defense system was so strong. And these were largely indigenous. Our own engineers, our own scientists, our own industry entrepreneurs, they had created the system to which we are all proud of. The whole world witnessed. This transformation has happened in the last 10, 11 years with a sense of pride. So friends, as you grow in life, two things you must have clarity about. Rashtrabodh and Satrubodh. What is Bharat as a Rashtra, you must understand. Because that will help you in reinforcing your conviction that it's not just a pep talk. It is not just someone is talking on a fiction. To have the sense of this Rashtrabodh, not only just philosophically, but how prosper we were in terms of science and technology. In various, in medicine, in mathematics, in astronomy, I'd urge you all to have a book, a collection of 5 volumes of Dharmpal Classics. You can go on Amazon and you can order it. This gentleman, great man, he has dedicated his life in discovering the fact. At the time when colonization of Bharat began, what was Bharat? How Bharat was the number 1 economy in the world? How prosperous was our science and technology? You know, one illustration. In 1840, Sheffield, the then largest iron and steel company of Europe, the British company, they sent 1,000 metric iron to Madras port, and they couldn't sell it. And when the company asked the then Madras governor, why is it so? The reply of Madras governor is very revealing. Madras governor replied, here nobody will buy your steel. Because making iron and steel is a cottage industry here. They had done the survey. At the time, there were more than 10,000 smelting plants, iron smelting plant in the country. So nobody will buy your iron. And the iron produced here is better, superior in quality than Sheffield's. Then Sheffield sent their engineers to study it. They studied here, and by fiat, a government order, company closed all the indigenous smelting plants. You read these in the 5 volumes of Dharmpal. You see the treasure, the fact, how rich, how prosperous Bharat was, not only in science and technology, science, even in democratic institutions, in their governance, in the polity, how society was. It must be, I urge you all, it must be on your book, in your shelf. You read as and when you like, but you must keep it. You must read Swami Vivekananda, because he was the father of Bharat's awakening, this, national awakening in this country. If it happened, the beginning was made by Swami Vivekananda. Read his literature, read his lectures. You get the insight. You read Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo beautifully defined what is Bharat. And you must listen it carefully. Sri Aurobindo said, Bharat is a living energy. He called it Bharat Shakti. Bharat is a living energy of Vedic Dharma. Bharat is the living energy of Vedic Dharma. And Bharat's identity, Bharat's existence depend on its fidelity, its allegiance to that dharma. You get a sense of a Rashtra. And you must also have Satru Bodh, who are the enemies of Rashtra. Because you have plenty of enemies, not only outside, you have plenty of enemies within. Those who say that Bharat is not a nation, Bharat is not a Rashtra. And there are ideologies, political ideology. Here itself, we have an ideology in our state which doesn't believe that this place is a part of the Bharat nation. They say, no, we are a separate nation. Such ideologies which do not accept Bharat as a nation, you must be aware of them. Beware of them. There are ideologies which deny the foundational values of Bharat, that we are all one family, which tries to look at people by their caste, by their creed, by the language, and differentiate. No, they are enemies of the Rashtra. You must be careful about that. There are theologies which does not encourage people living in harmony, which has concept of kafir and pagans. That you are different, you are not us, we must maintain a different distance from you. Bharat has been a large universal family. There is no concept of other. And Bharat, by its very civilizational value, even those who call us kafir, we cannot say that you are different. But at the same time, we have to be careful. Because the chemistry which they bring, the cultural chemistry, it's highly corrosive. And that is why when we talk about infiltration, larger scale infiltration in the country, it is a threat to Bharat. Because the people who come from Bangladesh in large number, they do not mix with this. They come with a certain belief system that compels them to keep a distance from the rest of the Bharatiya. And this is happening in Assam, Bengal, and Simhanchal of Bihar, where a partition, future partition of Bharat is a work in progress, unless it is addressed seriously today. So this is Satru of Bharat. You must have a Satru Bodh. There are people who are trying to create anarchy in the country by total lies. They're spreading all the lies. By trying to create distrust in the institutions of the Constitution, which have been acknowledged all through the world. All over the world, people have acknowledged the strength of constitutional institutions of this country. But there are people today who are all out day in and day out to tell lies and create a confusion in the mind of the people, creating distrust among those institutions and trying to create anarchy. Friends, you have to be very, very careful of these people. You must have a clarity about this, the Satru Bodh, who are the enemies of the Rashtra. You must realize that a country today is not just a strong, just has to be a strong militarily. When the social harmony of the country is disrupted, it is a recipe for chaos. You know how there are countries have imploded. The great Soviet Union imploded from within. Their military might could not save them. There have been cases around creating anarchy. When democratic means fail, when they feel that democratically they cannot succeed. So create confusion, create fear. and fear in the mind of the people, insecurity, and provoke them to come out in the street against the government of the day. These are the enemies of the Rashtra. They are Satru. You must have clarity about Satrubodh and Rashtrabodh. Rashtrabodh, what is Bharat, and Satrubodh, who are the enemies of Bharat. And then you move forward with this clarity. And I know that these 2 days, today and tomorrow, you will discuss about artificial intelligence, entrepreneurship. I'm sure. We know, we have seen the changes which are happening. Revolutionary transformation. Till 2014, if you come to entrepreneurship, we had less than 400 startups. Today we have nearing almost 2 lakhs. And a scores of them are unicorns. A startup, our young mind has been unleashed. Their talents unleashed. They are daring. They are taking on the challenges head on. And when it comes to technology, our country is the smartest in the world. Our youth is the smartest in the world in adoption of technology. Artificial intelligence is a general purpose technology. Like electricity, when electricity was discovered, on its bed, on its platform, countless applications and revolution happened. Artificial intelligence is a general purpose technology. It has countless applications. And I'm sure our people, our young men and women, will find multiple ways of harnessing it. But along with that, we also have other frontiers of technology. Quantum computing, nanotechnology, synthetic biology, nanorobotics, people are working on that. In fact, there are people in the world who are moving from nano to pico. All your technology students know nano is 10 to the power minus 9, pico is 10 to the power minus 12. They are going to that macro, nanorobotics, thinking of that. Augmented reality with on the bedrock or on this back of 6G technology, which is not far away, which is going to be far, far more efficient. All these are going to be transformative. And if Bharat, and there's no question of if, Bharat has to be the leader, has to be the self-reliant, has to be fully developed, East has to be fully developed and capable in all our technology, frontiers of technology. We have lost a lot of time. Prime Minister other day, in his talk, he mentioned that how, at some point of time, people thought of semiconductor decades ago, but then it went into the deep freezer. Nobody took initiative. It is only now that we have started, and proudly started, fabricating. Started late, but we have that energy with which we will not only just do incremental, we not just make leapfrog, it has to be quantum jump. Leapfrog is an old phrase, we cannot afford that. You all have to think big. See, at the time, in 2047, all of you will be at the helm of affairs. At that point of time, I'm sure you will sit back and ask yourself a question, each one of you a question to yourself. What did I do to make this Rashtra, make Bharat great? What was my contribution to it? And you know, answer to that question will give meaning to your life. Each one of you, remember, each one of you is a national asset. You are not just an ordinary youth. You are a national asset. And you have a great responsibility towards Bharat, not only for yourself, but by building yourself to your full potential, you will do a great service to Bharat Mata. decade ago. Not only possible, it is being encouraged. Make use of it. Bharat Mata, great again. And anyone who is shy of calling, when I say Satrubodh, anyone who is shy of calling Bharat as a Bharat Mata, look at that person also with suspicion. Because anyone who denies Bharat as a Bharat Mata, Bharat is a living being. As Mahatma Gandhi said, it's a beautiful tree. Everyone is one family. And we are all children of Bharat Mata. This is what Subramanya Bharati said. We may be speaking different languages, but our heartbeat is one. When Mahakavi Bharati said, Seppu Modi Padne Todiyal, Enil Chintanayu, languages, and that is the heartbeat of a child of Bharat Mata. And move forward. Wish you all the best. Wish this 2 days conference all the best. Thank you very much. Jai Bharat Mata.
Thank you, Honorable Governor Thiru R.N. Ravi Avargal. Your wise and insightful remarks have no doubt ignited a spark of innovation and inspiration in the youth minds present here. I would now like
on behalf of Think India, it is my great honor to propose this vote of thanks. First and foremost, I extend our deepest gratitude to our chief guest, Professor Thiru R.N. Raviji, for gracing this occasion with his presence. Sir, you not only spoke about the cultural heritage that we carry, but also the civilizational heritage and how we, as students of today, are responsible for taking this ahead. So, on behalf of the entire Dakshinapatha organizers, I would love to present to you a memento, and I invite Indrajit for this. I would also like to thank Professor Kamagudi, Director IIT Madras, for his warm welcome and constant support in hosting this entire summit at this very esteemed institution. Our heartfelt appreciation goes to Shri Ashish Chauhanji, National Organizing Secretary, ABVP, for his insightful address and encouragement to the youth gathered here. I also take this moment to acknowledge the presence and guidance of our various leaders and senior team members present here. Shri Balakrishna ji, Joint Organizing Secretary of ABVP, Shri Kumaresh ji and Shri Shiv Kumar ji, the Zonal Organizing Secretaries of ABVP, Shri Bomana ji, the State Organizing Secretary of North Tamil Nadu, Yuvraj ji, the State Secretary of North Tamil Nadu, and our very own Shri Sumit Pandey ji, the National In Charge of Think India. Your encouragement and blessings mean a lot to all of us. A special word of appreciation goes to our summit coordinator, Shri Indrajit Ramesh ji, for his dedicated and relentless efforts in making this entire summit start and give it a very good head start. So this summit is more than a gathering. We all know that today Think India needs no separate introduction. The radiant talent that is sitting here in front of me, right across all of you representing here, are the eyewitnesses and the result of Think India's efforts so long so far. In this hall, I I see the embodiment of our mission, and I know that Bharat's future is bright because you shine. The very place that we are sitting here, the IIT Madras, NIRF ranking 1, and we can see it why, because this institute leads this kind of intellectual discourse and presenting a platform to different organizations like Think India to come here, deliberate and innovate. Not just in this discourse, but also hosting research stalwarts in the IIT Research Park and different startup incubation centers that they have. So we are very thankful to you, sir, for hosting us here. Today, Think India, as we all know, is present in almost 70 plus different national institutes with our teams on campus running. A foundation so strong, a network so powerful that it connects youth aspiring from different corners of Bharat. Our statistics don't just speak, they roar. So with this, sir, Governor sir, I am honored and overwhelmed to represent the vibrancy and strength of India's youth, especially as a woman leading from the front. Together with Think India, let us awaken, innovate and lead. With this, I once again welcome you all to this summit of Dakshinapatha 2025. Hope you all will learn a lot during these 2 days. And if there are any learnings that you have or anything that you would like to come up, speak and interact with the speakers, you are very much welcome to do that. Thank you. We all will rise for the national anthem.
அவள்தான் முடிஞ்சிச்சு என்ன பண்ண சொல்ற
The next session will begin at 12 p.m. So I would request everyone to be seated 5 minutes ahead. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
தமிழ்நாட்டுல பெஸ்ட் லொகேஷன்ஸ்ல உங்க சொந்த வீடு கட்டுறதுக்கான பிளாட், அதுவும் அதுக்கு இஎம்ஐ இதுவும் நீங்க கட்ட தேவையில்லைன்னு சொன்னா எப்படி இருக்கும்? எஸ், உங்க ட்ரீம் பிளாட் புக் பண்ண இப்ப உங்களுக்கு ஒரு கோல்டன் சான்ஸ். நம்ம ஜி ஸ்கொயர்ல உங்க சொந்த பிளாட்டை இப்ப வாங்குங்க. அண்ட் இந்த வருஷத்தோட இஎம்ஐ நாங்க பாத்துப்போம். எஸ், பிளாட் உங்களுது, இஎம்ஐ எங்களுது. ஜி ஸ்கொயர்ல உங்க பிளாட்டை புக் செஞ்சு அபார்ட்மெண்ட் பிரைஸ்ல வில்லா லைஃப இன்னைக்கே ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க. இந்த ஆஃபர் வர ஆகஸ்ட் 15 வரை மட்டுமே. சோ இந்த சூப்பர் டீலை மிஸ் பண்ணிடாதீங்க. இப்பவே கால் பண்ணுங்க. கால் 8939760004.